What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Savage Land, and welcome to another episode of The Field. And today on The Field, we have the honor of the Action Sailor Recon Diver from the Gijoe 60th anniversary 1964 to 2024, and that's the incarnation of the line with the 12-inch dolls. Started in 1964, a long time ago, a kind of an answer to Barbie. And what this classified figure here is almost kind of like an ode, a tribute to that line. Of course, it isn't 12 inches, but it's not so flamboyant and just wild and crazy as the Aura era, the real American hero era, which started in 1982 through Marvel Comics, and of course the Sunbow cartoon and so forth and so on, man. Almost totally different from its originality, but this is a calling back to that. This isn't a specific character, it's just an action sailor, a recon diver, a frog man, a Navy SEAL, basically, a go-getter. And guy looks good, man, starting off with, man. But let's start off with the packaging. I usually don't do that, but this is fairly a new figure that came kind of early, so I'll let you guys take a look at it. Looks really good here. Of course, the plastic window is back. You can see everything in the plastic prison inside the bubble there, loaded with accessories. This is a $35 figure, available on Amazon and pretty much anywhere online, man. You can get them at Hasbro Pulse, Big Bad Toy Store, but this one came a little bit early through Amazon. And as it spins around, you still see it has dope graphics on the right corner there, just showing the action sailor, man, the frog man in action in the water. On the back of it, pretty much has some photography, well, some toy photography, shall I say, for him with his loadout, and it has the Caucasian head on there. On the side, it has the African American head with the rebreather on, and for some odd reason, it just shows like the digital readout on his wrist on this other picture on the back. But on the side, it has a great picture of him. I've been loving the G.I. Joe box art, man. And inside, you can see the 60th anniversary through the figure, man. But let's get into it. Pretty much the action sailor, man. Good looking figure. At first, I have him just all kind of just loaded up so you can see. And with this, with his full loadout, he just looks like a Navy SEAL. Looks like how a Navy SEAL move. When they're on land, they're going to be in their frog suit, but they're going to have tactical gear on, just in case when they get out of water, they got to handle business, man. And he looks really good. A very flat black and green colors. Very just more military, more realistic styled figure, man. And he can pretty much hold almost everything on him besides the little underwater scooter. Of course, that's a vehicle, so he wouldn't really want to hold that on him. That actually propels him through the water, and he has a pretty big one, to be honest with you. But of course, it's military standard. He might be going to some deep depths. He might have to go a long time, but pretty much other than that, he has an optional head sculpts, African American or Caucasian, which is great because you can choose the soldier that what you see in your eyes and which battle you want to see fit. And then it's also great kit bashing. You can take that head sculpt, and if it fits on another body, which it does, it fits on the eel and torpedo, you can kind of mix and match and kind of start creating your own soldier here, man. But also comes with a figure stand. The figure stand doesn't have any like real graphics on it. It has kind of the newer school G.I. Joe star. Doesn't have Recon, Sailor, Diver, or anything like that, man. And I'm totally cool with that. I really don't care. I'm really just glad he got a figure stand. And he can stand on it with his flippers inside, with his feet inside the flipper. So it has peg holes all the way through, man. And it works out really good, especially when you start collecting a lot of figures and you need them to stand up, man. But great figure. I will say I really like this. I really think it's worth the $35. I really wish it was $30. I miss those days of deluxes being $29.99, but G.I. Joe classifies a good line. I think I'm paying for a quality product, and especially with the way some figures have went to $40, and even G.I. Joe classified sometimes gets $40 when they want to put a little extra sauce on it because of a con exclusive, and it gets ridiculous, man. So $35, I think that's cool. $35, I don't think I lost my money, or wasted my money on this guy. I will tell you that. As far as it being cheaper, if you get this guy cheaper, you're getting a steal. As far as the quality of the figure, I think he's very solid. I think it's great plastic. Of course, the weapons Can be a little soft, but they're not gummy. Only thing I would say was close to gummy is the harpoon gun, but it also feels a little bit harder than the Eel's harpoon gun. I know when I first got the Eel, and maybe because it was summertime, but they were super gummy. Seems over time they stiffened up a little bit, but it's not as hard as I would want them to be. You shouldn't be able to bend weapons. Like I said, what I have noticed is that the weapons are straight. They're not bowed. They might be soft. I wouldn't even say gummy, just soft. I mean, they're not bowed, so I can deal with that. As long as I can take a picture, and he looks good standing up here. If you can look at the angles on there, that harpoon gun is not bent. You can see his SMG hanging in the back. That doesn't have a bow in it, man. So hey, I'm good to go. I'm not that tedious, man. But as far as quality of this figure, I think it's great. I think it's solid. I think it's very in the pocket. I think this is a figure right here that anybody could adapt to, really, because G.I. Joe can be quite flamboyant. If you're younger or if you're from an older generation and you just do not care about aura at all, which that is a thing. You don't care. You think they look stupid the way they're dressed up. This guy right here could solve your problem as far as looking for an action figure, a military action figure, because this doesn't really necessarily have the huge G.I. Joe branding on it. The only reason you know it's G.I. Joe because you know it's G.I. Joe. If you're in the G.I. Joe hobby, man, or interested in that genre, man. But great figure. The cool thing about this figure right here is you can miss and match him also. You can miss and match him with Torpedo or the Cobra Eel. Those are essentially the same figures. They just have little different overlays to them. And as far as head sculpts, different little head sculpts. But that ball on that peg for the head can pop on and off throughout all three of them. And what that initially does is just basically give you depth now with these scuba figures. Now, like far as a Cobra Eel, they have full mask on, so you don't know what's going on there. You know they're Caucasian behind there, but you can also play it off like now you got an African American Cobra Eel, because that head, that navy diver fits right on there, and it doesn't look out of pocket. Everybody's got neutral colors. Most of these figures have a neutral color of black or a dark gray. It enables Torpedo to kind of take on a more military look. And then also, it can also make a Cobra Eel kind of take on a little bit more flamboyant look, like go in Torpedo's outfit, which is more of the brightest out of all of them. It has kind of like a whitish, off-white gray offset to it, but it just gives you more options, which is cool. And then the cool thing about it, it's already a good figure, so easy kit bashes. And even far as the weapons, the rebreathers, the way things move around, the heads fit, then of course you know all their rebreathers fit. It might be a little bit different, but you can basically start doing what you did with Grunt and Stalker. You can kind of start mix matching and start building like huge mix match armies of scuba divers, man. I'm just laughing thinking about it, like, yo, this thing can get really out of hand, man, especially like if these later on in the summertime when nobody gives a crap anymore and this thing kind of starts going on sale for $25, yo, like it can start getting really interesting, man. And I'm here for it, man. Like I said, comes with great weapons. For all his other accessories, as you can see here, he has like the vest hanging over the chest. That's like a life preserver. It actually has the part at the bottom where you breathe in and kind of pump it up. Has a lot of nice sculpt on that too. Usually I would have that on if I have him like more of in a bobbing position, not in a swimming position. Maybe he has to float and kind of bob to a certain area. As far as his backpack, you can see that SMG he got pretty much plugs in at the bottom. Same gun that Torpedo has, same effect on Torpedo's backpack. I will say with this one, it just doesn't stick in. As you can see, it's kind of almost looking like it's about to fall out now. Like I said, the plug pieces on it don't stay in as much as I would want them to, man. They definitely, you get to moving around, they're definitely gonna fall out. You can see here, as I was talking about before, his knife with the black handle, got the silver blade on his wrist with the knife. When it comes back around, you'll pretty much see that he has like this, like a little rape meter on there. Has some green paint on there, looks pretty pretty good, man. As far as detail, they definitely stuck to like a military detail on there. The parts that has the paint, the little bit of hints of paint, is cool because it makes it pop, especially like the little digital reader on his wrist here. As far as his harpoon gun, black and green, just like the eel, I believe. I don't know, did Torpedo come with one of these? I'm not too sure, but I know the eel did. The eel's really gummy. This right here isn't the hardest, but I don't think it's as gummy as the eel. But I just felt the eels, man, and like I say, I think what it is the G.I. Joe weapons will never be the hard plastic like they once were when they were when they had like the laser Nerf guns and all that. Those weapons were actually hard. These weapons, they look better, but they'll never be as quality plastic as that. But for the most part, they did come straight. As you can see, as it goes around, that harpoon gun is straight, but you can bend it however way you want to. As far as his 9mm and the silencer that pretty much goes on that, or compressor that goes on that, that's actually kind of soft too, but it's not gummy, but it's soft. So like, I heated the figure up, and you know, you got to be careful when you do that because it's not the hardest plastic in the world, so you can bend it. All right, so let's go over articulation right quick. Articulation is great. This is pretty much on the same body as Torpedo and the Cobra Eel. Now, the only difference between these three figures are there's different overlays. As far as this Navy sailor, you see his vest pretty much is the different overlay. Just has a few little bit different things going on besides Torpedo. Torpedo, of course, doesn't have that vest over his torso, but he has that harness up top. Now, far as down in their crotch area, looks like that's actually pretty different too, because he has like some different little pouches, it looks like, attached down there at the bottom. So it's a little bit different than Torpedo's, and of course with the Eel, he has a totally different diaper on him. But as far as articulation, he has double ball joint at the neck and head there. That moves pretty good. Great for swimming motion. As you can see, his arms going a full T, can go up a little bit more, almost not necessarily a Y, but it can go up a little bit more. He has great pretty much butterfly joints, go back and forth. His torso pretty much has the ab crunch, has the ball joint at the waist, which is great for a swimming motion. This is basically Michael Phelps as an action figure. Of course, he doesn't have the big V frame that Michael Phelps has, but as far as the way his body moves for a swimmer, this is a natural born swimmer here. Got the thigh cut. Oh, I forgot to say double jointed arms, bicep cut, all the articulation that a classified normally has. But I think the difference with him is when you get down past the double jointed knees, he has a ankle cut. It's not necessarily a boot cut because he's a swimmer and he's in that bodysuit, so they dropped it down a little bit low, which is great because what he uses mostly is his bottom part of his legs, which is the ankle part, the feet down there by the calves, in a swimming motion to propel himself. So this figure, like I said, I never had a problem with the Eel. Torpedo moved the same way, and this guy is no different. The articulation on this is great. As far as me and my figures, I heat them up a little bit before I start to mess with them because I'm going to pose them up. So I heated him up a little bit, and that's probably much all you have to do with him as far as that, because be honest with you, like I said, it'll move great regardless of the fact, but just get them a little bit looser. Just throw a little bit of heat on them, especially in the wintertime. You have no more problems out of him. All three of those figures that I have like that are great as far as articulation wise. As far as sculpt, both head sculpts look phenomenal. They have very stern faces, got a lot of depth to them. As far as his vest, the sculpt on that is really good. You can see the different little latchings and pouches, and he has hooks at the bottom of his vest so he can carry his flippers. I don't think Torpedo, I haven't found a space on Torpedo that he carries his. And of course you see hooked onto that vest, he has two holsters for that 9mm with the silencer, and yes, that's for both. You can break them down, put them in each one. Of course the SMG hooks on to the bottom of his backpack just like Torpedo. As you see here, he got a little bit of paint. I want to say that like almost part of like a rebreather, that little black piping going up the side. I can't really tell, to be quite honest with you, but that's the only part that really has paint on it. Other than that, the rest just has really good sculpt, really no paint. Looks like a green molded plastic. I can't really tell. I'm not a great expert that see if that's green molded plastic with just a little bit of green paint on it, but it looks good though. It's got a very flat kind of army green color on it. Going down, you see that he has the two pouches on his legs, pretty much his knife sheath there on the side. Has a black handle with a silver paint on it. Actually the same knife that actually Torpedo has, but his has a little bit more realistic look to it with the silver paint. As far as on the other side there, I don't know if that's maybe like a little kit, maybe like with some medical supplies in it, but it's definitely like a little holster to hold some accessories for him, which of course don't come out, just really part of the overlay there. But going down, you can see at first I thought his flippers were like a brown, but they're definitely like it looks black, but in certain light it almost looks like it's a dark gray. But I looked at it like more in a yellow light in my kitchen and it started looking brown. But regardless of the fact, everything is pretty much muted out. I know I got light on it, it has a little sheen to it, but he's definitely not a glossy figure, man. Definitely a military figure with the flat black murdered out and the flat army deco green. Also, you can see the dog tags there on the neck. It has a nice little silver paint on them, man. Looks pretty good. Very close to the neck. They don't hang long, which is good, because when you're swimming, you don't want anything hanging off your body, man. So the dog tags look really good. I like that little accessory. Now here I pretty much got the Navy diver. I got him stripped down. And what I want to show here is the rebreather. Now his rebreather is different from Torpedo's. Torpedo's actually plugs into the backpack. Here I have his backpack on with Torpedo's rebreather. Okay, so that lets you know that the Navy sailor's backpack is optional. Why? Because his rebreather plugs into the front, into the vest part. As you can see here, it's just pretty much automatically hooked up. The hoses don't come off or anything. That whole setup is together. Besides the gauges come off quite easy, quite easy, man. It's a couple of moves and it falls right out. I'm really wondering why. Is it a detachable part? But a lot of this figure, you can break them down, and I guess that's the part of the fun factor, the more realistic part of it. Behind that gauge, that meter that he has hooked to his rebreather, he has the number 24. Don't know what that stands for. I don't know, maybe the year 2024. I don't know, to be honest with you. If you know, feel free to put it in the comments down below. But as far as that rebreather, when he goes into a swimming motion, he can't put his head up or it'll come out of that little peg that it has, man. So you can look down, but once you start to move that head up, it's going to come out of that peg. So that rebreather isn't going to stay put. But as you can see here, that's why I said that's the importance of the way his bottom and his ankles move. See how his fins are over each other? That ankle cut down at the bottom instead of a boot cut makes him able to turn like that. It looks a little bit more natural, man. And like I said, his body in general is a great body for a swimmer. And so you see here he has his underwater scooter, pretty much that he holds on to. Looks very natural, man. Great for photography, man. And this pack came with a great loadout, man. It's nothing too crazy, but it's really in the pocket. It's really solid. I love the colors on it. I love the deco. And this underwater scooter breaks down too, not just for any particular reason. I just believe it's just so it can make it a little bit more realistic. It doesn't do anything. Like, I'm never gonna break it apart, but you can break it apart. Weapons comes with a lot of accessories fit to it too. They're right in pocket. Well, one thing I will say is I don't like the way the weapons kind of fall off kind of easy, where they need to be pegged. The backpack peg is quite long, so of course with that, always if you don't plug it in right, you can kind of start stretching out that backpack. But that gauge in the front on his chest of the Navy diver, it just has a plug-in piece that's just not the best. Like, any light movement will knock it off. Now it's sitting in, holding in now when you're sitting in place. When you start moving him around, it can come quite annoying, especially if you're taking pictures, having to keep plug and putting that piece back in, man. But this guy was supposed to come out in April. I got a notice from Amazon that was coming early. A lot of stuff is coming early. The Vamp is probably about to show up soon. I'll give it about a month and the Vamp will show up within the month, man. So that's how they've been pretty much playing it, kicking the release dates out, but coming really early. Even these digital renders that we seen the other day, though we might see those figures in hand before the summertime hits. I'm almost guaranteed that. That's nothing that's very far off, man. But as far as this figure here, I think it's A plus. I didn't have any really QC issues. As far as paint wise, it has paint where it needs at, just in the gauges and where places it needs to pop. So it wouldn't make sense. This is not the old G.I. Joe line. Just start painting up stuff just for no reason with bright colors. As far as like when it first started with the gold hints, this is very militaristic. Also, it pretty much has the same mask as Torpedo, but on this time around he has a clear lens, and in the clear lens you can see into his eyes pretty good, man. They did a good job of getting that pretty clear, at least on mine. I know people can say the Cobra Eels is kind of foggy, but I thought I could see through mine pretty clearly too. But these are even clearer in my eyes, man. You definitely can see the blues of the Caucasian sailor eyes through that mask. At the end of the day, I think this Navy sailor Recon diver, I think it's a great figure. I think it's solid. I think it's in the pocket. I think it covers a lot of areas for people who are just really not into like action figures. You could get this for your grandpa. You can get this for your father. You can get this for a kid. You can get this for a person my age, a middle-aged man. And I think it'll be pretty receptive to a lot of people. It's a quality figure. The only thing I don't like about it is like the gauges in the front that plug into the rebreather. It could be kind of loose, you know, just fall off. Right now it's pegged in, plugged in, but once you get to moving around, it'll fall off. But other than that, it doesn't have any QC issues. Not too much to complain about. Paint, I think it has great articulation. I think this is a great action figure. It's just really, are you into it or not? Some people are just not into generic figures, and generic meaning by just, you know, no name, no backing with them. But I think this figure is great. But this is the Savage Land. Thank you for watching another episode of The Field, and it was a pleasure getting this figure right here. G.I. Joe continues to be a great line. Here we do this for the love and beauty of action figures and G.I. Joe Classified. If you want, follow me on my Instagram at Geppetto910. And with that being said, until the next time, God bless.